You don't get to say that. You don't get to say playing in the NFL is fucking easy and you doing that shit like that. Your inexperience has shown. And now you've been held to that, and now you're on the bench.
If you're Anthony Richardson, you're hoping that's your trajectory is just get me someplace else where I can settle in, not have the pressure on me.
Every few years a player comes along that genuinely makes you wonder, what the hell are they feeding these kids these days? Like, it's an athlete that's just so rare, an archetype so new that nobody really even knows what to do with them. And, well, in 2023, that was Anthony Richardson. He was the wild card in a supposedly loaded quarterback draft class, and even draft analysts would tell you that they had never seen a player with a higher ceiling. But now 3 seasons into his career, and cracks are forming in the ground floor. So what makes Anthony Richardson worth the risk? And why has his journey been so chaotic? And really, just most worryingly, is Anthony Richardson actually that bad? All right, now we are back with another one, KRICH crew, and look, for starters, when we're talking about Anthony Richardson's story, you really can't talk about his story without addressing just how he became such a high draft pick in the first place. Like, this was a guy who dominated in multiple sports throughout high school, and even his dreams came true when he was allowed to start a few games for the Gators as a redshirt freshman. I mean, even by 2022, Richardson was handed the keys to the Florida offense, and the 20-year-old was being hyped up to no end. Even the flashes he had shown in his first few seasons on campus meant that expectations were sky high, but when he had 4 interceptions and no passing touchdowns in his first 3 games, a different theory began to emerge.
And I think we were seeing as a guy that feels, okay, I'm now this star. There's these expectations on me that I have to live up to. And you start pressing. And I think he's really been pressing its look like to make the plays the last couple of weeks instead of letting the plays just come to him.
But don't worry, he finally did settle into the starting role as the season went on, contributing 16 total touchdowns and just 2 interceptions across the next 6 games. And I mean, look, things were trending in the right direction. And I mean, honestly, as we all know, I think another year of college probably would have helped him out. Like, I mean, he completed just 1/3 of his passes in the Florida Gators season finale and was only 20 years old and had just 13 starts under his belt. I mean, honestly too, the NIL era had just officially began too, so returning to school seemed like an absolute no-brainer.
Breaking college football news, Anthony Richardson's going pro. Considered one of the top prospects in this year's class, but a bit of a project for the NFL team that ends up drafting him, likely in the first round.
Well, what do I know though? So Richardson was declared the 4th best quarterback in the 2023 class behind Heisman Trophy winner Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, and Will Levis of all people. Even concerns around AR's viability were there, but completely drowned out by all the hype.
I mean, there's a lot to like with Anthony Richardson. I think it all starts with the size profile. I can remember being taught early in my career, size is a trait for quarterbacks. And at 6'3", 235 pounds, he has elite size. We see the running ability that is fantastic. I mean, there's plays against Utah in the opener where he's just leaving people in the dirt, but he's also powerful to run over guys. And this play right here, I mean, that's Patrick Mahomes type stuff. To have the strength, the presence of mind, to be able to throw the way that he does, the arm strength's fantastic. You know, I talked to one general manager who said, this guy doesn't have a ceiling. There's no physical limitation that you would look at like Bryce Young, who's 6 foot tall, 190 pounds, or CJ Stroud with his scheme, Will Levis with his decision making. Anthony Richardson's traits mean that he really has no ceiling as a quarterback prospect.
And really, that's the thing I think not a lot of people understood with him coming out of college, is that not having a ceiling is problematic for 2 specific reasons. Number one is that it made him more difficult to evaluate as teams tried to weigh his potential against his readiness to start as a rookie, which was looking pretty bleak to even begin with. The second thing too is that as a consequence of that dilemma, it held even more pressure on AR's shoulders to perform. Like, the higher he went in the draft, the sooner he would be expected to start. And I mean, given the numbers in the tape, NFL front offices who are paid millions of dollars to get this right would obviously understand that Richardson had a lot of work to do.
With the 4th pick, the Indianapolis Colts selecting Anthony Richardson, quarterback out of Florida.
There goes basically any chance of trying to take things slowly with him going as the 4th overall pick. Like, after the Trey Lance experiment that everybody witnessed too, nobody wanted to let their top 5 picks sit and learn anymore. You had to be ready to be thrown into the fire as an NFL rookie quarterback, and to AR's credit too, he seemed game for it.
I'm gonna work to be the best QB that I can be. A lot of people see my film, they're like, oh, that guy's a great runner. That guy's a great athlete. I appreciate that, but that's not just who I am. I'm a quarterback. I'm ready to deliver the ball to great receivers, hand the ball out to a great running back, and control the offense as a quarterback and not just a dynamic athlete.
And look, I think to be fair too, as the 4th overall pick and just Anthony Richardson, to give himself some credit, he didn't know what he was getting himself into. Like, how is a 4th overall pick that barely has 15 college starts under his belt supposed to gel with a first-year head coach in Shane Steichen? Like, with all that being said right now, how is that not supposed to be a disaster? But hey, at least they had Gardner Minshew as a backup just in case anything went bad. I mean, even given all the excitement to see Anthony Richardson suit up in the underwhelming competition for the starting role, this quarterback battle was really only going to go one way.
Absolutely the right decision. Number one, I don't think the Colts are going to be contenders this year, okay? So let's get him on the field, because the only way for him to gain experience is actually play. Do not be San Francisco with Trey Lance. That's part of this conversation. Number two, figure out what he is. What's he good at? What's he struggle with? What do we have to get around him for the future? That's going to be another part of it.
The first 2 games of his career were kind of a mixed bag too. It was a 1-1 record and a touchdown interception ratio of 3 scores on the ground and a concussion, which kept him out of week 3. Week 4 was hardly any easier though, as the LA Rams came to Indianapolis for Richardson's return to action, and the Colts, they battled hard, even with Anthony Richardson making plays with the great Aaron Donald in his face all game long.
First down at 20, pass off the hands of Moss.
And sure, they did lose that game, but there was maybe something to be said for the character Richardson had shown throughout the game, and that maybe he really was the chosen one.
The challenge for the Colts will be to take that positivity, what happened in the regulation period, forget about overtime, what they were able to do, and use that to elevate Anthony Richardson. Because even though C.J. Stroud has become the talk of the league and he's got the numbers and he's doing some historic things, Richardson is the one who's still got the superstar potential. And we're just merely scratching the surface with Richard.
The very next week, though, he left their matchup with the Titans after coming down hard on a quarterback run, and it didn't look good at all.
We've got big news today from the Colts.
So the team now says rookie quarterback Anthony Richardson will miss the rest of the season. He'll be undergoing shoulder surgery and spending the next several months recovering.
Like 4 games, only 2 of which he even played start to finish. That's all Indy had to show for the endless buzz around Richardson that they had tried their best to harness and turn into something real. I think it's also important to remember that during this time too, Richardson was only 21 years old and just had the rug pulled out from under him before he could even find his footing in the NFL.
It was so many times I was in the building just watching the guys practice and stuff, and I'm just crying because I'm like, I love football and I'm not able to play football right now. So that was something I had to deal with, but I started taking a different dive into different things. I started diving into my faith a lot more, so that got me through it, and now I'm back here.
And that's the thing that kind of weighs on a young player too, and inevitably kind of just dents their confidence, is that if they can't get any momentum going, how are they supposed to learn? And yes, after the long rehab process, Richardson came back and looked, well, worse than we remembered. And don't get me wrong, he obviously had the insane touchdown pass against the Texans in week 1. That was just, it was insane. Everybody's jaw was on their floor when they did that.
Just watch his right foot. It just slides right there. And then essentially hip square to the line of scrimmage. He launches this ball, Jason.
However, on the other side of the coin, though, a 3-6 touchdown interception ratio through 3 games and a sub 50% completion rate was objectively just terrible. And when he had the chance to right the ship in week 4 against the Steelers,
he kind of grabs at his right hip as he goes to the ground. He took a pretty good shot from Fitzpatrick.
And then after missing 2 weeks with a hip injury, Anthony Richardson came back and looked even worse. He completed 35.7% of his passes in the next 2 games, committing 3 turnovers and looking more of like a liability than an actual project. Even in his second game back from that hip injury too, Richardson birthed one of the most just memorable clips for all the wrong reasons of his time in Indianapolis.
We saw Colts quarterback Anthony Richardson come to the sideline at the end of that last drive. I asked their staff what was going on with him. They said officially there is no injury with Richardson. He was a little shaken up. He was a little out of breath. But as far as an official injury, there is none with Richardson, guys.
Like, not only did that move legitimately have no reasoning, but against the backdrop of some of his offseason comments about the NFL, it looked even worse.
See, playing in the NFL, I feel like it's easier than college.
Not president. Hold on. Stop that. You can't say that and also say this.
Anthony, can you explain just you subbing out? Were you hurt? Were you injured? Were you tired?
Man, tired. I ain't gonna lie.
Okay, first of all, bro, you're in the big leagues now, guy. And that's why you see a guy like Lamar Jackson get the flowers, because what he does isn't easy.
Yeah.
You took the easy route when you tapped your head and said, damn, bro, I'm tired. What the fuck? You're a professional.
Yeah.
You don't get to say that shit. That's the easy way. You don't get to say that. You don't get to say playing in the NFL is fucking easy and you doing that shit like that. Your inexperience has shown, and now you've been held to that, and now you're on the bench.
And just when we thought it reached rock bottom for Anthony Richardson, this happened.
So the Colts today are benching Anthony Richardson and bringing in Joe Flacco. And I hear this all the time. Hey, be patient. In Silicon Valley, on Wall Street, and in the NFL, nobody's patient.
Like, getting benched for a 39-year-old Joe Flacco was all-time low. Richardson stood on the sideline for back-to-back losses as a man who got drafted when he was 5 years old, doing the job promised to him. Fortunately for our boy AR though, Flacco was a turnover machine, and by week 11, it was only time for another plot twist.
How thrilled are you to have this opportunity here and try to lead this team to a victory this weekend?
You know, as a competitor, you know, you never want to just be on the sideline. You always feel like there's an opportunity for you to go out there and help the team. But just sitting on the sideline, it just allowed me just to look and see the certain things I could, you know, correct about myself. You know, certain things that the team needed help with. You know, and I'm forever grateful for the opportunity. You know, I'm glad that Shane felt like I'm the guy again once again. So, like I said, I'm just forever grateful and I'm just thankful.
So, Anthony Richardson, after 2 weeks on the bench, had matured enough to become now the face of the Colts franchise? Like, he led Indianapolis to wins in 3 of their next 5 games, but it was anything but pretty. He was still a wildly inconsistent passer, registering more interceptions than touchdowns, and had to rely heavily on his legs in order to even find the end zone. And yes, that's not ideal, sure. I mean, Anthony Richardson is a mobile quarterback, but all of his injuries came while on the run. And speaking of that too,
we have no more confusion as Richardson elaborated even more on his back issues today after missing his 16th start in 33 games. He said he's been dealing with back spasms since he was in 8th grade, but never a week so severe as last week.
And yes, just like that, his 2024 season was over. And the numbers, they didn't lie either. It was atrocious. Like, across 11 games, Anthony Richardson completed 47.7% of his pass attempts for 1,814 yards, 8 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions. His passer rating, completion percentage, and quarterback rating were all lows for any qualifying starter, and it was undeniable now. The Anthony Richardson experiment had been an absolute disaster and completely failed. So in the 2025 offseason, the Colts brought in the stiffest competition yet. Daniel Jones was an unsigned free agent, and although he had an ugly end to his time in New York, he was still far more of a threat to Richardson's job as a quarterback than Flacco or even Minshew. Even reports coming out of training camp suggested that it was a tight quarterback battle, and with everything still to prove, Richardson took his first snap of preseason.
And he's under pressure, buried by David Njoku, back at the 26-yard line.
Another injury. And this one didn't leave a physical wound, but also an emotional one. How did a third-year NFL starter not see a free rusher in the preseason?
I hope it wasn't his fault. We might not ever know. Yeah. But there are a lot of people. Jeff Schwartz said this is day one empty protection install. Bummer for Richardson. He didn't see it. Kurt Warner, an early preseason example of having pressure plan. O-line sliding to the left. Quarterback responsible for the linebacker on the right. He comes, OT correctly squeezed for the guy way hot. Right. AR has to see this and dish to the running back or the tight end. Right away. Chase Daniel, day one install.
Damn.
And then just a few weeks later, it became official.
We got breaking news out of the NFL where Daniel Jones, a.k.a. Danny Dimes, has been named the starting quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts. That's according to multiple reports. Danny Dimes will be getting a start nod over Anthony Richardson, who the Colts drafted not too long ago, back in 2023, 4th overall.
But just like he had done when he got benched for Flacco, the only thing AR could do was wait for his opportunity. Even as the Colts played historically good offensive football with Daniel Jones under center, Richardson was waiting to pounce on any mistake until just 6 weeks into the season.
First, I'll start with injuries. AR got an eye. He got an orbital eye fracture in pregame warm-up doing band works.
You said he had an orbital fracture. Did he have to go to the hospital?
Yeah.
you know what kind of timeline that normally is?
I don't know. I don't know.
Like, Richardson hadn't even taken a snap for the Colts since this freak accident. And really, it just feels like a cruel twist of fate that helps seal once and for all that Indianapolis is not the place for him. So now with the Colts most likely moving forward with Daniel Jones and granting Anthony Richardson to request a trade going forward now in the offseason, the question is what is the best way to move forward with all of this and for Anthony Richardson and the Colts as a whole?
If you're Anthony Richardson, you're hoping that's your trajectory is just get me someplace else where I can settle in, not have the pressure on me. I think he's 23, 24 years old. I mean, he's a young guy who's 6'5" and 250 and has a massive cannon of an arm. Just get me somewhere else where maybe the dynamic's a little bit different and I'm not the guy who was supposed to be the guy and I'm not.
And I'm going to have to kind of be inclined to agree with Tom here. I mean, honestly, he's going to have to go to a team where he's not going to be the center of attention, and honestly, probably with another quarterback-friendly head coach like Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, or I don't know, maybe even this guy.
Hey, do me a favor and remember something.
Okay.
You're a bad dude.
Yes, sir.
And you're going to play a long time in this league.
For sure.
All right? Go to work every day. Good things will happen for you.
And who knows, maybe Minnesota is the place and Kevin O'Connell is the guy. I mean, after what he did for Sam Darnold, I wouldn't doubt the Vikings head coach at all. But of course, if you made it this far in the video, comment Anthony Richardson. Let me know down below. What do you guys think? Is Anthony Richardson, is his career even salvageable at this point, or is it just completely over? Let me know down in the comment section below. And as always, if you enjoyed this, make sure you guys subscribe. And as always, KRICH will catch you in the next one.